Welcome to the Carver Community Cultural Center. We have an amazing star lineup for the 2021-2022 performance season. We know you will agree that this year the lineup is fun and exciting.
Ooh, let me fit you. Let me fit you with a new glove. Once I get with you, ooh, love, I swear that you never get enough. Once we get gone, whoa, hey, hey. Once I get you gone, whoa, hey, hey. Let me fix you. Let me fix you up just to us the way I like. There'll be no breaks, love. And once we get it, we'll be going at it all night. Once we get gone, whoa, hey, yeah. Once I get you gone, whoa, hey, hey, hey. Going, let me hit you. Let me get you up into a new way. And once it hits love, boy, you can bet that you'll beg me to stay. Once we get gone, whoa, hey, hey. Once I get you gone, whoa, hey, 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 yeah. Going, yeah, yeah, hey, hey. Going, yeah, yeah, yeah. Going,
The Little Carver Intimate series has proven to be a patron favorite, featuring local and regional talent, to joining with you once more in community as we experience the mastery of the exemplary artists coming to the Carver. We're back and can't wait to see you throughout the season.
Good evening, and welcome to the 2021 San Antonio Black International Film Festival. My name is Cassandra Parker Nowicki, Executive Director of the Carver Community Cultural Center here in San Antonio, Texas, greeting you from the stage of our beautiful Joe Long Theater. We are honored to partner with the festival this year and want to offer our congratulations to them on this, the opening night of the 3rd annual San Antonio Black International Film Festival. And while we look forward to welcoming everyone back in person next year, we're delighted that you're able to join us virtually this year from wherever you are around San Antonio, throughout the continent, or even around the world. This year's festival offers many opportunities for us to celebrate and explore Black cinema and to engage with and learn from the many extraordinarily talented Black filmmakers, actors, and creatives that'll be featured throughout the festival. So if you haven't already, be sure to grab your tickets or your festival pass so that you don't miss any of these amazing events. And while you're at it, visit the Carver's website at thecarver.org to learn more about the many amazing programs that we have coming up. We recently announced our performance season for 21-22, and we're so excited to share this extraordinary lineup of artists with all of you. So be sure to check us out, and hopefully when you're in San Antonio, be sure to stop by and visit us here at the Carver. And with that, I want to thank you again for joining us and enjoy the festival.
Called The W's of Womanhood, and I want to take a second to acknowledge Tebow Gonzalez. Thank you so much for accompanying me today on your percussive elements. You bring so much beauty and power to the stage, my friend, and I've known you for many years, and it's just been great knowing you all these years. The W's of Womanhood. Warrior armed with praying hands using spiritual warfare, woven, worn like a wool cloak, a wound tight movement like clocks with new springs. A weapon with polished pistol and garter belt, whimsical as a giggle on pouty lips. Wickedly wise, we've been conjuring since the ancient times. Wealthy, we never run out of resources, and we somehow know how to make do. Wishful, hoping and faithful, we store up the bounty in our bosom. Woke to the struggle and acutely aware of the surf. Wired and live, electric currents fluminous throughout the body, and oh, this body. Waves of heat radiating over womb, the warmest, softest heaven. Weeping for everything lost and accounting for everything kept. Wound and wounded and weathered, gaping or sutured, things are composed, everything reeks of bleeding scarlet dignity. Watchful and tracking every moment with intuition and piercing pupils, eyes darting like a feline in the shadows. Work wears on youth, whittles it down to shavings on the wooden floor of time. Every wrinkle is characterized by virtue gained. We are washed in this water. We are rinsed in this blood from our legs, and we wrap our heads to preserve our thoughts and shed the pain and shield the glory, our glory, brighter than any red giant. We are just a dying star that has fallen to earth in radiance. Yes, the stars are dying to become a woman. The dust of the atmosphere is bursting through the universe inside of me. I am a woman, a supernatural force of cosmic power. You are a woman, a supernatural force of cosmic power. We are women, supernatural. I say, Thank you.
My grandmother, before I left Martinique, she used to tell me, if anybody comes and put a fence in front of you, just jump over it and fly. We suffered so much. We came from a long road, and I dedicated my life to certain things, because that's why I used to say that with my camera, I don't shoot, I heal. I try to heal the wounds created by history.
thank you for all that you've done for the world of cinema. I let everyone know wherever I go that you are one of the greatest filmmakers in the world. For me personally, the greatest. I love you, hope to see you soon, and I wish everyone all of the best as we move forward to tell our stories and take a cue from Euzhan Palcy.
I'm Susan Taylor, the Editor-in-Chief Emerita of Essence Magazine and founder of the National Cares Mentoring Movement. And I am here to add my voice to the many that are celebrating my beloved friend, Euzhan Palcy. Euzhan, we adore you. Your courage, the choices you make as a filmmaker, training your lens on stories that need to be told. In many ways, you've become the connective tissue, binding us throughout the global Black diaspora so that we can see ourselves.
I'm S. Triumph Berry, filmmaker, writer, and professor emeritus at Howard University. I first laid eyes on Euzhan Palcy back in the early 1980s at a film festival. That was back when I was a young, vibrant film student at UCLA. Now, we would finally meet in April of 1999 at Howard University when we awarded her with the School of Communications Paul Robeson Award. Now, at the time, I also interviewed her for my book, The 50 Most Influential Black Films, because A Dry White Season was on our list. Congratulations, Euzhan, on this UNC award. And I'm sure that along with all of your other awards and accolades, that just like the Paul Robeson Award from Howard, this one will have a very special place in your heart. So be blessed and stay beautiful.
EP, as you know, it's one thing to have dreams, but it's another to act and turn those dreams into reality. You have heeded your one mama Carlos admonishment to jump and fly over any obstacle that comes between you and your dreams. The global film industry is better because of your well-documented achievements.
Hi, my name is Janae Gabon, international Jamaican Los Angeles-based artist. I just want to say congratulations on this award, Euzhan. I first came across your work and your name when you did A Dry White Season and was nominated for an Oscar. Myself had a dream of living in Los Angeles, and I think somewhere in there you have a part and a role to play in that, me getting there. I think it may have been like 3 years ago or 4, maybe 3 years ago. While in Los Angeles, I spoke to you. I was supposed to be your driver. Do you remember this guy? It's me. We had a great conversation, but I was looking forward to meeting you. Congratulations on this award, and I am looking forward to all the great things that you still can bring to us as filmmakers and as artists in the world. Thank you so much for your work, and we want to continue to celebrate you, woman in film.
Hi, Euzhan. Just wanted to congratulate you on being this year's honoree at the San Antonio Black International Film Festival. You've been a trailblazer since I've known you, since way back in our days of Sundance when you were developing a Dry White Season, and you went on to be the first woman of color to direct a major motion picture at the studios and win an Oscar. Just small little thing. But, and you know, you've just been knocking out the park ever since. I'm so glad to be able to call you my friend, and I love you, and I hope you enjoy your evening tonight.
And I'm thrilled to share with you my warm feelings about Euzhan Palcy and our collaboration on a screenplay about literacy and an old cowboy. I'm rushing to get this to in the time I've got allotted, but I have to tell you, she taught me how to be a professional writer. I learned so much by collaboration with her, and the biggest thing I learned is how you can have this wonderful artistic vision and this wisdom and this brightness and be totally void of ego. But the only thing you care about is what's right for the screenplay and what's right for the writer and the collaborators she's working with. For that, I am grateful for. I am proud to be her friend today.
You have been an inspiration to me before I had the chance to meet you. And now that I'm privileged to unequivocally call you my friend and most importantly, a sister, it fills my heart as I watch you not only continue your dreams to produce quality films, but to inspire and support the next generation of marginalized filmmakers. Congratulations on receiving this award tonight. Blessings and guidance. Love you. Mwah.
I can still remember the first time we met at the Watts Towers Art Center in Los Angeles. And you saw my work for the first time and gave me one of my greatest compliments, that my work to you was like film. But over the past 25 years, I've grown to have a wonderful friendship and understand your work, and have found that your narrative filmmaking and storytelling is purely art.
Hi, my name is Diane Dalspesh, co-director of the African Diaspora International Film Festival and general manager at the film distribution company Arclaton Productions. And I'm here to talk about filmmaker extraordinaire Euzhan Palcy. Euzhan Palcy belongs to a generation of women filmmakers that have broken glass ceilings in the film industry. Her films Sugarcane Alley, The Dry Wet Season, and Simeon are films that resonated on both sides of the Atlantic. I'm delighted to send these words of recognition to an outstanding Black woman filmmaker. Euzhan, congratulations on this award.
Euzhan, congratulations, my dear sister, on this much-deserved Lifetime Achievement Award from the Black International Film Festival in San Antonio. You have been beyond inspirational for millions of us. Not just the work that you do as a director, but the work that you do as a human being. Your work with the world in ways that people may not know. To just bring people together has been extraordinary. I'm so happy to call you my friend and my sister, and I love you, and I congratulate you, I honor you, I bow to you.
Whatever you focus your lens on is told in the most exquisite, dynamic, and memorable way. You are fearless, and you are brilliant. And tonight, I'm adding my voice to those that are honoring you with the Ankh Award, and I just want to say that it is my honor to be a part of this celebration. God bless you.
Anytime I had a difficulty, I have something, I will think about it. I will say, okay, I guess that I have to jump over that and fly. Find a way to jump over that and fly and do what I want to do, whatever the cost.
Grateful to be here at the Carver Community Cultural Center in San Antonio, Texas for our opening night of our San Antonio Black International Film Festival, SABIFF 2021. And we started the Ankh Award last year when we honored Charles Burnett. So we are beyond honored to continue in our second year to give our Ankh Award to Miss Euzhan Palcy. We thank you for your lifetime work in the advancement of Black cinema. So this is our virtual Ankh Award, Euzhan. Yay!
Thank you.
On the other side. But we wanted to start off our opening night by presenting this to you. You've heard the wonderful words and the tribute that came before about your trailblazing work and vision. And so we're just grateful for you. We wanted to give that to you, to project that onto you, all the way to Paris.
Thank you so much. I'm really honored, and humbled.
We are so delighted to have a renowned talent, creative talent from Martinique. This sister is legendary in what she has done and what she continues to do in cinema. She has broken many ceilings to do what she does. She's someone who I feel has the heart that is committed and dedicated to Black cinema in general, making stories that matter. She's very selective in what she does. It is just beyond honor to have her with us today. We presented with the Aunt Award a few minutes ago, and now we wanted to continue forward with an interview with the renowned Miss Euzhan Palcy. She's joining us from Paris, France. She goes between Paris, Martinique, and Los Angeles. So she's not bound by one place or one type of genre. She's very versatile. And the sad part for me is she's not a household name. She's not a name that you would know. She has made films that I really want to make you aware of if you are not into Black independent cinema like me or excited by these films. But Sugarcane Alley, Simeon, A Dry White Season, Ruby Bridges. Dissident Journey, Amy Césaire, Voice for Freedom is a documentary she's done on Amy Césaire. The Killing Yard, The Brides of Bourbon, and many, many more films in development. It's like one of those things when you don't know your history or don't learn your history, and then you learn it and you're like, damn, why didn't I know this? Why didn't I learn this? Why didn't you know, the same thing with Euzhan, like, why don't you know her? Why don't you know her? For those on the international circuit, they may be more hip to Ms. Palcy. So I want to bring her to our audience and introduce her. And we are so happy to be able to speak with you, Euzhan, from Paris. So welcome to the San Antonio Black International Film Festival. We were pleased to present you with our second annual Ankh Award. And I bet like someone said, you are a trailblazer, and we bow to you. How are you this evening?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You know, Euzhan, I want to get started by just first, for those who are not familiar with your work, I want to just put Euzhan Palcy in context, you know. So can you tell us how you, as a little girl who grew up in Martinique, got started in making films, and who influenced you?
Well, actually, when I was a little girl, as you said, I loved to go to the movies. That was something that was very important for me. And every Sunday after the service, I will go to the theater. And but it was I had two passions: music and film. Yeah, and I was in love with cinema, but actually I was in love with cinema, and at the same time, you know, I was very hurt by cinema, just because I couldn't understand why all the movies that we were having in Martinique, they were coming from America most of the time, and a bit from France. In in those movies, you know, there were no black faces. You know, all the actors, they were white, and very rarely you had in an American film a black character. And but the black character was always, you know, ugly, bad, and he was a. I mean, black people had very degrading parts in those movies, and that was hurting me a great deal because I couldn't understand why he had to be that way, because I couldn't relate to those characters. You see, because around me, I didn't have this kind of person. So very early on, at very young age, I decided to make films, to be a filmmaker. At that time, of course, I was young. I was 10, 11, 12. I couldn't name it. I couldn't put a name on that, like filmmaker, director, but I remember I was saying, I want to do this, you know? And people would think that I was talking about being an actress. And I said, no, I want to do that. I want to work with the actors, you know?
Did you even know it was called director? Did you even know that, hey, that's a director I want to be? Or Did you have a sense of what was involved in movie making?
Not at all. I remember when I was a little girl, I will ask my parents questions, like I will ask them. I remember a movie from Fritz Lang, and the camera was on the ground, and then the car will be driving above the camera, and I was very intrigued by the techniques, and also sometimes I will see that they kill a character portrayed by X or Z actor, you know, and then the next movie I would see the person, and I say, wait a minute, they kill him in the other day, but how come that he's in that movie? Because it was funny. But later on, I I didn't know at all what when I got to 12 or 13 or 14, I didn't know what that meant to, I mean, what would be behind the term filmmaker. What would be your responsibility? All I knew is I wanted to learn and to be able to do that. Yes.
So when you graduated from high school, did you automatically say, I'm going to pursue my education in films? And if so, how did that develop in terms of you selecting a film school and going off to Paris? Tell us about your education with film from Martinique to Paris.
Something funny, I would say, actually, happened in my life when I was 12, 14. I mean, I used to be very alive, a young girl that will ask people a lot of questions, ask, I mean, I will be challenging all the time, challenging, the grown-ups. And my mother, sometimes she will be fed up with me. She will say, okay, you sit down in the kitchen, stop asking me all those questions, and sit down and read that book. And she gave me Rue Cazenègre, Sugarcane Alley, that book written by Joseph Zobel. And it was a cultural shock for me. She gave me that book to read. She knew the book. She read the book I don't know how many times, and it was. And she told me, "I want you to sit down and read the book and tell me everything that is in the book." Okay, but she did that just to make me calm down, sit down and relax. You see, and stop asking her questions. But she didn't know by doing that that will create a kind of a hurricane in my body, earthquake, volcano, whatever we can call it. And 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 then because it was the first time that I had in my hand a book written by a black man talking about our story, you know, the Caribbean people's stories. I mean, and African, and I and also I remember very well. I was very amazed by the fact that the people that he was portraying in that book were people that I knew. I mean, sugarcane plantations, I mean, the sugarcane workers, the kids, I mean, the old men, the old women, all those people. They were, I mean, they were in my life, you know? I was playing with those kids. So, and I was so moved by that story, so moved by one of the character. Martin was the lead with a little boy, of course, but there was a third character who was old Medus. He was an African who was born in slavery, in Martinique, and so I was so moved by that character as well. And I said, okay, I want to do that. When I'll grow up, I want to do that, And I remember I was praying every night. I was praying God to make me, grow fast and faster, faster, to be able to learn and to make films, So that's why when I got my baccalaureate, and I had to make a decision to go. I knew that I had to go to France to study films, and so what I decided to do is to go to Paris I went to Louis Lumière Film School. That was the most famous school, in Paris, and also I completed my studies at Sorbonne, and I learned about theater. I learned about, opera, uh, and you see, it's an art, archaeology, and everything like that. Because I knew that if you want to be a filmmaker, you need to have all that knowledge, because as I used to say, the cinema, the seven arts, as we call it, englobes, all the other arts.
No, that is so sweet that your mother turned you on to Sugarcane Alley. That's nice to know. That's a nice story. And I mean, it's one of those stories that every time you see it, I don't care how many times you see it, you're tearing up. I mean, I swear, I still tear up when I see it. So what word? Let's talk about your time in Paris and who were your French godfathers and who mentored you and influenced you even more while you were at school.
Well, actually, before going to France to study films, I had the people, the filmmakers, who really taught me something prior to my schooling. So people like François Truffaut, people like Sembene Ousmane, the Senegalese filmmaker, famous filmmaker, people like Hitchcock, actually, um, and people like Costa Gavras and Bergman. But there is a bunch of them, but each of them taught me something, yeah.
So was it?
And then,
Go ahead.
yeah. So when I actually I went to Paris, I also had before that somebody who was my first godfather. Yeah, somebody who was my first godfather in Martinique, the very famous poet, historian, and philosopher named Aimé Césaire. He was one of the the founder of the Negritude movement with Léon Gontran Damas and Léopold Sédar Senghor in the 50s. And then when I went to Paris, actually, I was studying films, and I was very fortunate to meet that man that was also one of those people who really, I consider them like my spiritual mentors. François Truffaut, I met him finally, and it was a dream, and that came true, because I would never imagine one day in my life that I will be able to be at his office and talk to him very friendly, yeah.
Yeah, for Americans who don't even know his name, I would encourage folks to Google and see the phenomenal person and work that he has done. So, and to have Amy Césaire, as a mentor is awesome. You went on later to do a documentary on him, a 3-part documentary. And that is a treasure. I think that is still available on California Newsreel. And I know videos of that are still available, but it's something that definitely should be seen and shared.
And the title of this is Césaire, a voice for history.
Amy Césaire,
a voice for history.
Yeah, that is the name of the documentary.
It's a 3-part documentary about him.
And it's an important piece that definitely needed to be documented and shared. So tell us, from school, you did go on to do Sugarcane Alley. How did that develop, and what did your mommy say when you actually did it from the book that she influenced you to read?
Well, I will tell you a very cute little story that I remember my mother. She knew that I wanted to make films, and I started I before I went to Paris actually to study. I ordered books on about filmmaking, and so I knew I have the knowledge how to write a screenplay before I went actually to France to study films. And and in the evening when everybody will be asleep, I will be in my bedroom with a pile of paper, blank papers, and I will be writing. And I remember my mother will come and said, "But wait a minute, is it very late? And what are you doing?" And then I said, "No, no, nothing." And that because I did that so many days, and she caught me, and she took the pile of the script that I was working on, and uh, and she said, "You need to sleep. You need to sleep." I always say, but I got into a very strong argument with her, saying that for me, sleeping is a waste of time. Okay. So I want to use that time while you are sleeping to write my screenplay, you know? And then she was actually my mother until she died, 2 years ago. She has been on the road with me. She has been with my dad as well. And I owe my parents, and I want to pay tribute to them today, while we are on screen, because it's important for young people, to know how important it is when you have a dad, you have a grandmother, you have a mother, and those people, they are around you to help you, to support you, you know. And I used to tell them, in my time, we didn't have that, but everybody has a telephone with you can record, you can do videos, you can do a lot of stuff. Please, please, film them, question them about their life, about their youth, make them tell you stories, because all this nourished me and made me who I am as a human being, as a woman, and as an artist, as a filmmaker. That's very important. That I want to send that message to all my friends, my young friends, and to tell them that they need to do that. Don't let your folks to go without doing that, please, because you never know. You can use that. You can be, yeah, tomorrow be a filmmaker and say, "Oh my God," or do documentaries and use that. So my mother was very, very pleased because, in fact, by that simple act of putting that book in my hand and asking me to just to make me stay, to get off her hair, so she didn't know, by doing that very innocent gesture, that will change my life and change her life, our life, the family's life. Yes. So she has been around, and she saw all my movies. She came to the sets, many times. She followed me with my dad, and they had been there until my she passed away, 2 years ago. Yeah.
Please call out their names. I want to honor them. What is mommy's name and daddy's name?
Oh, my
And
my mother's name was Mireille. Mireille. And my dad was Leon.
Mihal and Leon. And grandma.
Oh, Camille.
Okay.
Camille.
They
Yes.
rest in peace. Yes,
Thank you.
they produced an awesome daughter and other kids. I know your other sisters and brothers are really acclaimed as well.
You prepared for what followed Sugarcane Alley? 17 international prizes, accolades. You were handpicked by Robert Redford to go to the director's lab at Sundance. Were you shocked by what followed? Were you prepared? I mean, after that film was released, and how did you take all of that in?
Very honestly, I wanted to make that movie because it was all black. All the characters were black except two white men who were the owners of a factory, a sugarcane factory, in the movie. So even Cannes Film Festival didn't want, the movie in Cannes, you know. Um, but I didn't care because I didn't make that movie to go to any film festival. I wanted to make that movie. I wanted our people to be on the screen. I wanted to change things, and show to the people who will despise us, to show them that we are beautiful, we are smart, we can be amazing on screen, and also our stories are great. So, and it was such a battle, a struggle, to get the money to make that movie, that at the end of the day, when the movie was done, um, with all these awards, I mean, Venice Film Festival gave us 5 awards, like the Silver Lion Best Award, Best Actress Award for The Grandmother, and many others. And the movie went on collecting awards everywhere. And in America, I mean, people, they went crazy about the film. So when they will come to me, embrace me and say, congratulations, oh my God, at last we see Black folks, with dignity, on the screen. And I mean, people, I was very happy, very, very happy. But I was so tired. I was so tired, so I couldn't enjoy fully, that success. And for me, I never thought about it as a big success or anything, what it was internationally. And I remember when I came to New York, for the first screening. I mean, people were grabbing me, trying to hug me, and in tears and laughters. And when I went also to Atlanta, there was one screening. There was the premiere in Atlanta. The room was, people were fighting to get in the room, because they saw in the press that the movie was successful in that other cities, many cities in America. So everybody heard of it and wanted to see it, but there was not enough room. And people said, no, we want to see that movie. So I remember the mayor, Andrew Young, he had to organize quickly another screening, and the people, they decided to wait outside that room, for when the first reel was done, then they will send it to the room, so they could see the movie. And that's how and they told me, thank you so much for portraying us like that. It's such a big change. We are so happy, so proud, and I realized how the work that I did was not just for me, just to talk about, our people, but I did something that was bigger than me, bigger than life, you see? And it was, and that's still with me still today.
So coming from Martinique,
In the 80s, yes.
1983. Mm-hmm.
Yes, and the Orion Classic, got right, and the distribution right, yes.
Yeah, so that it still remains a classic in the Library of Congress, and it's still very sought after all around the world. So let me ask you this. So coming from Martinique to Paris, what was your entree to American cinema, to Hollywood films?
It's not Hollywood. I didn't go to Hollywood, actually. The success of Sugarcane Alley was so great, that the studio, Hollywood, called me to work with them. At that time, it was Warner Brother. And but I was a little bit, I didn't want to go to Hollywood, because, I was not, I was thinking I won't fit in, because it's a total different way of working, so I turned down, the invitation. That's what happened, in fact. And it was Lucy Fisher, who was a senior vice president at Warner, was at that Warner Brother at the time, and she sent me 5 letters to ask me, please, come to work with us, and but and when I discovered The Color Purple, the book, I fell in love with the book. And so I told her, oh, what about The Color Purple book? Do you know that book? Because I didn't know that of course she knew, but I didn't know. And I said, yes, let's talk about this if you want to do it. So I'm yours. And then she wrote me that very nice letter saying that, oh, that's too bad because we already have a filmmaker working on it and we might be shooting pretty soon, actually. It was Spielberg, you know?
They chose Spielberg over you to do The Color Purple?
No, but Spielberg was already on the
Oh, he's already
project.
attached.
Oh,
He's already
yes,
attached.
of course, of course. That's why she said, well, too bad for you because, and that was the only thing that I wanted to do with them. So I said, okay, so we'll see down the road. We'll see if we can find something else. And in the meantime, Robert Redford, that when Robert Redford invited me to come to Sundance because they saw Sugarcane Alley, and they were all in love with the movie, and they wanted. He picked me, he handpicked me to come to Sundance, to the lab, and I spent, oh my God, a great time. I mean, one of the greatest time in my life, Sundance, with all those people around, and I mean, we had 10 screening of Sugarcane Alley, almost 10 screening for everybody who will come, and they will be asking, "Oh, can we see Sugarcane Alley?" Or, you know, and I couldn't understand why they knew about this.
I'm just thinking I would have loved to have seen a Euzhan Palcy direction version of The Color Purple. But anyway, I'm moving on. I would have loved to have seen that. The first Black female director to direct a major Hollywood studio feature. That was A Dry White Season. Did you know you were making history, being the quote unquote first? And how were you aware of your standing of that? Did you realize that that was the case? And talk about how that came about, A Dry White Season.
Actually, I discovered the book in Andre Brink's book, A Dry White Season. And when I was I decided, when I was younger in Martinique, actually, I had the three stories that I really wanted to tell. That were my heart stories, my heart project. The first one was Sugarcane Alley. The second one was a movie about South Africa. And then the third one was Toussaint Louverture, the very famous Haitian hero. So I did Sugarcane Alley, and I knew that I had to do do a movie about South Africa. And when I came across that book, I realized immediately that was it. I needed to adapt the book and to turn that story into two stories, to tell the story of a white family and a Black family in apartheid country, South Africa. So that's how it started. And Robert Redford brought me to Sundance with my project, with A Dry White Season, because in order to go to the lab, you had to you needed to have a project, and I was working on that, the screenplay already. I was adapting the book, so when I went to the lab, I worked with everybody who could help me to get the best script that I could get, and that's how one day we were sitting on the grass talking and at Sundance, and he was asking me about what next, and for so I told him, well, I had that letter, 5 letters from Lucy Fisher that she invited me to come to work with them to the in Hollywood, but I didn't feel like going there. And he said, okay. And he asked me to show him the letter. And when he saw the letter, he told me, but you need to go and try the water. Okay, don't just say, no, I don't feel that I will fit in. You need to go. And I know if you don't like it, you will say, I don't like it, but you need to try it. And then he asked his assistant to call the studio and let them know that he's putting me in the plane and sending me over there. That's what he did. And so thank you to him. And I love him so much for that. And you know what? We had such a great time together. And he became one of my godfathers. And anytime I would need something, and I would need some advice, I would call him. And Robert Redford always been there for me and gave me good advice. Yes. So that how I end up going to Hollywood with my project. And I won't go to the detail, but Lucy Fisher, she fell in love with the project, and then she said, "Okay, we are going to do it." And we spent, I mean, 3 years developing, the story. And when we were about to maybe start casting, then Cry Freedom came out. The Richard Attenborough film. That and so they put it in a drawer. They didn't want to do it. 2 movies about black folks in South Africa were too much, too many. So and then I found myself like an orphan, and I won't go to any all those details and stuff, but I was able, thanks to God, I was able to, with my producer Paula Weinstein, we were able to take it away from Warner Brother and bring it to Metro Goldwyn Mayer, MGM. And that's how I was able to make a dry white season with the people, the actors that I wanted, with my script that I wrote, and with Black South African actors, I was able to cast, and it was a premiere, because usually when an American production involving Black folks on screen in America, you had to go with Black South African, Black African American, actors. And I really wanted them to understand that this is a question of, giving those people, those Black folks, a voice to talk about themselves, about their sufferings. Okay. So, and Alena Jr., the head of MGM, he understood that. And he said, "Okay, if you can find the guys, fine with me," and that's how I was able to bring, those people, on screen. And most of the actors in the film, like Brando, like, Susan Sarandon, and others, Donald Sutherland, I brought them in. Yes.
So you were envisioning Brando? How did you? I mean, he was like retired. He was done. How did he? Why were you envisioning him for that role?
It was very important for me that the actors that that would be in my movies, I would put it that way, they had their heart in the right place for that story. So for Donald Sutherland was perfect for me, and Brando was portraying an anti-apartheid lawyer. I mean, I never thought of anybody else but him, because we knew that he was an activist. We knew the activist that he was, what kind of activist he was. So it makes sense to me to try to bring him back. And that's what I did. And that's so funny, because life is funny. Because going to MGM with a project, it was asked if it was destined, to be there, because there it is. I have in MGM a man called Jay Cantor, who was a vice president of MGM. And he was Brando's best friend, like almost like a brother. And when we were talking about casting with my producers, and she said, "Well, Euzhan wants Marlon Brando to portray that Mackenzie lawyer." So Jay said, "Oh, okay, let's call the man." And that's how he called Brando. He explained who I was, what I wanted to do, and that I wanted to bring him back from retirement to have that part in the movie. That was not a lead part, but a very, very important cameo in the film. Okay, and Brando said, "Give me her phone number, I'll call her." And that's how he called me. We talked, and we met, and he decided. he asked me to talk about my work, about me, and I said I can't do that. I'm the last person to be able to talk about my work and about myself. And I said, but if you look at Sugarcane Alley, you'll know who I am. And then he said, good. And then, you know, he saw the movie. He saw Sugarcane Alley at the J. Cantor's house. And he fell in love with the film. And then he called me after he read the script. He called me and he said, I'm going to do it.
Before you arrived, that your film speaks for you.
That's right. That's right.
So you know what? There's an article that says when we lost Euzhan, what was lost when Euzhan left Hollywood? There was a time where you got pretty fed up with not being able to make your films the way you wanted to make them, and they say it was kind of a self-imposed exile, and so you left. What got to the point where it's like enough for you to be able to just leave back to Paris or Martinique? I mean, what were you tired of? What were you sick of? What were you insulted by to leave?
Actually, when I made the Sugarcane Alley, the movie was internationally known and successful, and in America as well. That's why the studios, they called me to work with them. And then after I did A Dry White Season, I thought that, my God, I had the boulevard an avenue in front of me. I would be able to do all my projects, and that will open the doors, the doors to other, African American filmmakers, female and male, and I also knew that Kathleen Collin, that I saw the two feature films that she did, she was not able to. I mean, Hollywood will never give her a chance to make a film produced by Hollywood and give them what she needed to make what she wanted to make. I knew all this. So, and then, when I thought that, this is great. I'm coming here today and with my project, and everybody will tell me, this is great. These are great projects, wonderful stories. But unfortunately, Black and female are not bankable. So we won't know how to market those films. The stories are great, don't get me wrong, but it's impossible. Our guys won't know how to sell that. But we have some great stories for you if you want, and they will start to pile their project on the table for me. So but everywhere I would go, all the studios, there was none. To the extent of my dear friend Lucy Fisher, we became very good friends, the senior vice president of Warner Brother at that time, who brought me in. So she told me, let's have dinner. And she said, this is not the studio, person talking to you, but your friend. In Hollywood, they are not ready for that. They are not ready for Black people on screen and female. So, forget about those projects or make a decision, but don't feel hurt by that. Don't let that destroy you. You have to keep fighting, maybe somewhere else. And that's what when I decided that, okay, I have to go back to where I can make my films, and that's it. But that was, and I decided to, when I went back to France, actually, I did other movies. I did Simeon, and I did documentaries about Aimé Césaire, about the dissident, about, for the television as well, the Brides of Bourbon Island. I did a few, films like that. But I kept writing and writing my stories. And I was very into the American history, the Black American experience, you see? And so that was very important for me to be able to talk about that, because I couldn't talk about our experience in the Caribbean because it was and we used to be in the street, to fight for Angela Davis, for George Jackson, and for other American, problem, we will be in the street, in Europe, in Martinique, in the Caribbean, in Africa, helping our brother and sister, to get their rights. So that's why, I was, very moved by all these stories. And I said, because I have the opportunity to be a filmmaker, so this is my duty. I must make all the movies, wherever my people they are, we have stories to be told. So I want to be able to do as many as possible, and that's why I decided to leave and to be in Europe and in Martinique and wait, because deep inside I knew in my heart of heart that things would change. I couldn't be able to say in how many years, but I knew that, things will change. And I was right. I'm so glad that I never gave up and gave up hope. And then I decided to come back to Hollywood because they called me to do Ruby Bridges. They called me to do the killing out about Attica, the story about the uprising in the Attica prisons. So that's why I came back to Hollywood, and then I started to develop more stories, and like Bessie Coleman, for example, that I discovered in 1991. Nobody knew about that girl. That's so funny. I remember at that time. I mean, you know, I discovered Bessie Coleman thanks to Kathleen Collin. She's the one who had the project in first place years ago. But she died, and she had the idea of making a movie about her, and I saw a documentary about Kathleen after she died, and I was in tears, when I saw that film about that woman, and I recognized myself, the flame that I had in myself, in her. We had the same. We had so much thing in common. Our fight, our love for movies, and our strong desire, to put our people on screen with dignity, with respect. You see, without excluding anybody. We needed to do our job.
Yeah, Kathleen Collins, I learned about in college. Kathleen Collins, for those of you, please Google, look her up. She's an amazing filmmaker who really never got a chance to excel because she passed away of cancer. So, but I did not know Bessie Coleman was something that she was interested in. That has been a project that is a passion project for you. Are you surprised even now how hard it is to get funding? I saw an Amelia Earhart film on Hollywood Made, and I'm like, damn. I mean, why can't Euzhan do Kathleen Collins? I mean, do Bessie Coleman? Why so hard now? I mean, things supposedly have progressed in terms of seeing Black.
But actually, when that was one of the things that made me, leave Hollywood. When I talk about Bessie Coleman, as I talk about Toussaint Louverture, I talk about Bessie Coleman. The person who was in front of me, the studio executive, just told me that, well, this is great. I mean, she did that. Bessie did that. Wow. If I didn't have some pictures of her, that her niece that I met at that time in Chicago, if I didn't have some pictures of her, that person will never believe that she existed. That person would believe that I made it up. It's a story. And then when he saw that it was a real person, she really existed, and she accomplished what she accomplished. So then he said, that's so, I'm so sad for you because, she's Black and female, and a female lead, Black or white, anyway, anyhow, it's difficult. It's a difficult sell. And then I said, okay, so, and then I don't understand because why the color of the person or the person's gender, would be what will determine, if they deserve to be on screen or not. and I said, okay, I think that I have it. I have enough, so I have to go home. That's why I left. Yes. And then, so when I came back, actually, I developed a couple of stories, as I said earlier. Um, and of course, my heart project was the first one that, I decided to put on the table, and to work on. Right now, I'm on it. I'm working on it. Yes. I'm on it. I'm working on it.
Good,
Yes.
good. Yeah, there was a quote that I read by Robert Ebert. Said you quoted. You said, "I could have worked more, but I will not make a film just to be making a film. If my heart is not in it, my head will not follow." And then you talked about the Hollywood mentality. But you were working. You continued working. It just wasn't in Hollywood. You continued creating. So yeah, so that's important to note. I mean, it wasn't to the point where it's here, but you had options, and that is a blessing. Believe me, that is a blessing to have options, to be able to be like, later, later, y'all. Yeah, that's wonderful.
I yes, I agree. I turned down many projects, and I know that I disappointed many people who believed in me, many producers, because I was project, because, as I said, I know why I wanted to be a filmmaker. And it was so hard. And I was, as everybody put it, the first one was first black female director produced by a Hollywood studio. And there it is. I couldn't accept the idea of coming to Hollywood just to do what so many other white filmmakers were doing. I thought that by accepting to go there, it would be easy, it would be a good thing, to bring my stories to Hollywood, make people know about us, you know, and that wouldn't mean that there will be no white folks in the stories. No, because our stories are, as you say in English, intertwined. I hope that I say it right, you know. So it's but and I became a filmmaker because I couldn't stand the idea of not being on screen, that our people who wouldn't be on screen. So why should I come to Hollywood to do what the other filmmakers were doing? So white filmmakers they have their stories to tell, and nobody was telling our stories, Or and thank God, there were some filmmakers, they were doing it independently, but because it was independent, it wouldn't go across the globe, you know, and so that's why I said that I cannot. If my yes,
It up, but
There's
there's
a
a
quote I
quote that
just
I
want to
think is
read, then
very
I want to
important to
just
read, because one of
can
the things
wind down, wrap it
she
up.
can
But
give you an
there's a quote that
extraordinary
I think is
action
very
sequence
important to read,
that
because
gets
one of the
your
things
adrenaline
that
pumping,
Hollywood
and then
tried
she
to
can
do was
move right
typecast you
into
to
an
just
intimate
go to one
scene
particular type
between
of
two
film,
people
and you
that
refuse
comes
to be put
straight
in a
from the
box.
soul.
You like
Women
directing all
are
kind of
often not
genres
considered when
and
it comes to
exploring
directing
and learning
action
and
movies.
growing continually.
Euzhan
But
has
this
a
is a great quote
range
by
that would
Alan
be
Alda
hard to
when you did The
find in
Killing
most
Yard. It says,
directors,
Euzhan
male or
Palcy has an
female.
unusual
That's
combination
a
of
high compliment.
abilities. She can
And
give
that
you an
is that is
extraordinary
that is
action
the
sequence
essence
that
of
gets
who you
your
are
adrenaline pumping,
and why
and then
we
she
honor
can
you.
move right into an
You
intimate
have done
scene
so much for
between
Black
two
cinema
people
in terms of
that
just
comes straight
on
from
the
the
down
soul.
low, helping out
Women
African
are often
filmmakers,
not considered when it
doing
comes to
activists and
directing
fighting
action
and not
movies. But
compromising
Euzhan has a
when
range
the
that
inside.
would be
There's a lot of
hard
behind
to
the scenes
find in
stuff,
most directors,
especially dealing with
male
Hollywood,
or
that you got to
female.
prove
That's
black
a
people do
high
this. Black, no,
compliment,
don't do it.
and
It's
that
a
is
right, and you continue to do
um,
that and continue
essence of
to
who
make
you
films.
are
I wanted to
and
know.
why
I wanted you to just
we
kind of talk
honor you.
about your businesses.
You have done so
You have
much
a
for Black
nonprofit,
cinema in
and
terms
tell
of
us
just
about that,
on
and
the down
your
low,
business in
helping out
Paris.
African
Just kind of tell
filmmakers,
us about that, so people
doing
can go to the
activism,
website and support.
fighting and not
And
compromising
where can they?
when
Otherwise, where
the
can they see your
inside. There's a
films
lot
and
of
get your
behind the
films?
scenes stuff,
Specifically,
especially dealing with
Sugarcane
Hollywood, that you
Alley,
got
if
to
there's plans
prove
coming up with that.
Black people do this. Like,
I know
no,
that's a
don't do
lie. I
it.
proved you at one
And
time.
so you fought that fight, and you continue to do that, and continue to make films. I wanted you to just kind of talk about your businesses. You have a nonprofit, and tell us about that, and your business in Paris. Just kind of tell us about that, so people can go to the website and support. And where can they? Otherwise, where can they see your films and get your films? Specifically, Sugarcane Alley, if there's plans coming up with that.
Yes, regarding you know, the nonprofit jump and fly. People can go, they can go on the net, and Google, jump and fly, and they will have which I just started it actually, and it's also another tool, to help young filmmakers, female and male, you know so they don't have to, and not only filmmakers but young black people, um who have project, who have a dream, and so they don't have to go through it, all this turmoil that I have to go through, all these fights, that struggle, to get to have their dream come through, to accomplish, what they really wanted to do. So that's why, I had to create that jump and fly. Yes. And also, why jump and fly is because my grandmother, you know before I left Martinique to go to France to study, she used to tell me, don't let anyone take you off track of your dream. And also, she used to tell me, if you want to do something, you know if anybody comes and put a fence in front of you, just jump over it and fly. So that's why, and I'm telling you very honestly, that's with me. And anytime I had a difficulty, I have something, you know, I mean, I will think about it. I will say, okay, I guess that I have to jump over that and fly. Find a way to jump over that and fly and do what I want to do, whatever the cost. Like turning down project and waiting for many years, that and doing other things, you know.
So Jump and Fly and their distribution arm, the J&M production.
Okay, so the distribution, if people want to, to get to have information about where to find my movies, you see, they can there's a pictures, and GMG pictures at gmail.com. People wants to know about my how where to find my movies. They can email the production is JMJ Productions at gmail.com.
Okay. Okay. So just lastly, because I was going to ask recommendations for young filmmakers, but it's Jump and Fly. We got that down. That is a great recommendation from grandmother. So how would you like people to remember Euzhan Palcy? Just want to wrap it up with that.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Well, I don't know. I mean, um, I would like them to, I would like people to uh, to see my movies and to just to remember me as somebody who had a great love, respect for my people and for everyone's, but for my people in first place, because we suffered so much. We came from a long, 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 long road, and I dedicated my life, to strengthen things, because that's why I used to say that, with my camera, you know, I don't shoot, I heal. I try to heal the wounds created by history. And I use my camera, I consider my camera as a miraculous weapon to create. to reveal things, to to tell the truth about our stories, about us, and also to help us to see ourselves and to grow, you know, and to get better and better and better, and to explode, positively.
That is beautiful. With my camera, I do not shoot, I heal. And on that note, we thank you for all that you have done and continue to do for Black cinema, African cinema in general. And we're so honored that you were able to have this time with us. So we'll put your Ankh Achievement Award in the mail and get that to you. And definitely for everyone, please visit euzhanpalcy.net and keep abreast of what Euzhan is doing, and follow her as well as JMJ Productions and jumpandfly.com.
And also on Instagram,
What's that? On Instagram. Instagram is the way.
Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all this.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Euzhan.